back to Paradise Lost in Books. I'm Christy, and today I'm here to bring you my Marchuary Wrap Up. I didn't really read enough books in February to constitute its own wrap-up, so I decided to just stick March and February together into one wrap-up so there'd actually be a decent number of books to talk about. I don't know why I didn't get a lot read in February. February was kind of a tough month. A lot of things were going on at work, and I just didn't get as much read as I wanted to. Most of what I read in the last 2 months was audiobooks. Let's get into it, and I will show you guys all the books that I read between February and the end of March. The first book that I read in February was The Summer That Melted Everything by Tiffany McDaniel. I actually already did a book banter on this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, so if you want to see that, you can click on the card and go watch that. This is a fantastic book. I loved it so much. Probably one of my favorite books that I've read in the last year. So if you want to know more about this incredible, life-changing book, definitely go check out at least the spoiler-free portion of my book banter on this wonderful novel, because I would highly recommend this to anyone and everyone. The second book that I read in February was Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. This was another audiobook, but it was fantastic because Anna Kendrick narrates it. I have a book banter on this book as well, so again, click the card if you want to know more about Anna Kendrick's autobiography. I gave this book 5 stars as well. Read a lot of really good books in the last couple months, but she is funny and hilarious and super relatable. So definitely, if you need a friend to talk to, go read this book because Anna Kendrick feels so personable and she's so much fun to listen to. The next book that I listened to in February was The Gunslinger by Stephen King. This is the first book in the Dark Tower series. I'm planning on doing a book banter on this book, but I'm waiting until a little bit closer to when the movie comes out so we can all kind of get hyped for the movie together. In case you don't know, The Dark Tower is Stephen King's epic fantasy series. The first book introduces us to Roland, who is a gunslinger. Very kind of Western fantasy here. It's so good. The first book I only gave 3 stars because it was kind of slow. It was very much world building, very much just kind of, there wasn't a whole lot of action. The action scenes that were there were really good, but mostly it was following Roland through the desert. And there were times that I kind of tuned out, and I also didn't really like the reader for the first book very much. But the books do get better, which I will talk about soon, but I'm really, really loving this series. It's on par with like Wheel of Time for me. So the first book wasn't the best so far, but still check it out if you're a fan of high fantasy. I will say though that it is my boyfriend's favorite in the series because I don't know, we're just very different readers, but even though it's not the strongest in the series, I think certain types of readers that maybe enjoy that slower pace a little bit more will definitely love this book and get a lot out of it. So we're moving into March now. The next book I read was Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. I just posted my book banter on this one, so you can click the card to go check that out. This is the second book in the Lunar Chronicle series, and I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I didn't like it as much as Cinder, but it's still good, and I still want to finish the series. So not a bad book by any means. Not my favorite so far, but still enjoyable. The next book I read in March was The Drawing of the Three by Stephen King. This is the second book in the Dark Tower series, and I enjoyed this one so much more than the first one. This is where we meet the other members of Roland's group called a quartet, Eddie Dean and Odetta Holmes, and we see more of how he gets his group together, and their stories are so much fun to read. They're so interesting, and these characters are so fantastically written. So even though there are still some slow parts in between meeting the characters, it was a little bit draggy, but the book starts with a bang, and it's so good. I enjoyed this so much, and the audiobook reader for this one is a lot better than the reader for the first book. So I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. And again, I'm going to do a book banter on it. I just haven't quite gotten to it yet. The next book that I read in March is The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid. Notice I've been using my Owl Crate flags from the February box. I have been using them. I really debated doing a book banter for this book, And in the end, I decided I'm not going to. I really enjoyed parts of this book, but in the end, I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. The premise of the story was really interesting. The idea is that in the future, rich families that are like the rulers or the grandiloquy of the star systems have genetically engineered creatures called Diabolics that look human, but they're engineered not to have feelings so that they can be perfect protectors for people in their families. The person that they're supposed to protect is who they emotionally bond to. And even though there were some really great moments in this book, overall it felt really predictable, really tropey, and everything that was supposed to be a twist I saw coming from a mile away, and I'm honestly not the most astute person when it comes to guessing plot twists. Like, there have been times that my boyfriend will pick up on something and I'm like, I didn't see that coming, and he's like, oh, I'm just not that good at it. But it was just really predictable. I enjoyed it as a fun kind of read. There were some emotional parts that were really hard to get through, but overall it just didn't move me enough for me to want to do a full book review of it on my channel. If you want to know more of my thoughts on this book, spoiler related, you can definitely send me a message or leave a comment and I will tell you what I thought, because I know this book was pretty popular with some YA readers, but it just didn't grab me enough for me to want to devote a whole video to talking about it. The next book that I read in March is The Wasteland by Stephen King. This is the 3rd book in the Dark Tower series. I didn't like this one as much as The Drawing of the Three, but I did like it better than The Gunslinger, so I think I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. This one sees Roland and his quartet continuing on their journey to the Dark Tower. I think part of the reason I didn't like it as much as Drawing of the Three is that at times it seemed like the plot was just kind of ambling along. There wasn't really a whole lot of clarity as to the purpose, and none of the things that happened really felt quite as explosive as The Drawing of the Three in terms of the plot. I mean, there were definitely some cool things that came together, but there were definitely some boring parts that were kind of reminiscent of The Gunslinger that were just like, and we're traveling. Yeah, good stuff, guys. The action parts, again, are really well done. Stephen King is an amazing writer, and my issues with it have nothing to do with his writing, everything to do with personal preference for how I like plots to go when I'm reading. So definitely keep an eye out for my book banters on the Dark Tower books, because they will be coming shortly, okay? And the last book I have, I don't know if this counts because I'm currently reading it, but it's a short book, so I'm pretty positive that by the time I post this video around the 1st of April that I'll have it finished. But the last book is Exit West by Mohsin Hamid. Please God, let me be saying that right. I'm not very far into this book, so it's kind of unclear where it's going. I mean, I do know what it says on the flap. Oh God, everything is bad. What it sounds like this book is about is it's set in a Middle Eastern country. It doesn't say which one. It's not even 100% clear if this is in our world or not, to be perfectly honest. But it follows a man and a woman who meet and have a love affair, and their country is torn apart by war, which does make it feel very modern, because that is definitely a reality for a lot of people in Middle Eastern countries. But they hear about these doors that can take you away. I don't know exactly what that means, but that's pretty much all it gives you on the flap. But it sounds really interesting, and I'm excited to get into the book a little bit more. I'm currently only on page 39, but I have a week to finish it, so hopefully I can get through this like not quite 300 page book in a week. I think I can do it, so that's why I'm including it in this list. Also, how cute are these kitty cat page flaps that I'm using to mark the things I want to talk about? They are so stinking cute. I found them on Amazon for like $4 and they're like my favorite thing. Okay guys, that is it for my Marchuary wrap up. Those are all the books that I read in February and March. So if you've read any of these books, I would love it if you told me what you thought of them down below. And if you enjoyed this video, I do hope that you'll give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!